facebook.com/DZRJ810 AM or on YouTube, channel RJAM News. To all Teleradio Bandido viewers and listeners, you can now watch Teleradio Bandido on our new YouTube channel, RJAM News. Hit the subscribe button and like the video. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified when a new video gets uploaded. Don't miss out on our dynamite lineup.
Watch and listen. Kontra Birada every Tuesday from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Hosted by Attorney Mike Toledo and Attorney Karen Jimeno. This program will discuss the most important and fresh news and events and feature their guest, Attorney Salvador Sal Panelo. So catch Kontra Birada on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, GMA Afforda boxes, and all DTT boxes. Facebook/DZRJ 810 AM and YouTube channel RJAM News.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Attorney Mike, at good afternoon sa mga nakikinig sa atin today.
You're looking good as always, Attorney Karen.
Thank you, and ikaw rin, of course, and always in a suit. You know, Attorney Mike, someone mentioned to me, sabi niya, partner mo pala sa Radio Bandido, si Attorney Mike Toledo. You know, he's my idol. He's the only one who can pull off a suit and not sweat. And not break a sweat. Yeah, I don't think I've seen you ever that underdressed or looking sloppy.
Kaya naman kasi biro mo naman nakatapat ko si Attorney Karen, di ba? I'm sure our listeners and yung nanonood sa atin sa TV, sa RJTV at nakikinig sa Radyo Bandido, maniniwala naman na kailangan medyo presentable tayo pag ikaw ang katapat ko. Di ba? Kaya
always talaga.
Pasensya na, na-miss ko kayo last Tuesday. Na although napanood ko parts of the interview that you did with Secretary Sal and yung pinag-usapan nyo, very interesting yung mga topics nyo. Hindi talaga ako makapasok dahil dun sa isang importanteng meeting na kailangan mag-attend ako.
Yeah, but it was completely understood because we know you're also a very busy lawyer and you're in several boards as well. But it was super interesting kasi nung last episode natin nung Tuesday, nag-share si Secretary Sal Panelo that he was actually in Cebu, and you know the most hot topic last week prior to Undas was the whole meeting between Mayor Inday Sara and presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos. And apparently si Secretary Panelo was there in Cebu as well. And nag-meeting sila personally ni Mayor Inday Sara. And sayang kinulang kami sa oras because nag-share din ng picture si Secretary Sal nang magkasama talaga sila ni Mayor Inday sa Cebu.
Oo nga, maraming mga hindi naman siguro nagulat, but marami siyempre haka-haka, pag-isip, tanong, conclusions, no, or suspicions, or whatever you call it. Kasi nung nagkita nga, dahil birthday, it was also the birthday of Congressman Yeda, the wife of Majority Floor Leader Martin Romualdez. As you know, Yeda is from Cebu. And then of course, na-timing din na nandun si Senator BBM, Senator Marcos, dahil nga inopen yung kanyang headquarters in the city of Cebu. And nandun din si Inday Sara because she had to meet with certain people, including the governor, no, si kaibigan natin, no? Si among governor diha sa Cebu, si Governor Gwen Garcia. Kaya siyempre, nung nakita yung mga litrato, talagang hindi ka pag-iisipan mo talaga na siguro isa sa mga whether or not there was really a plan to meet on that day or it was all coincidental, talagang aksidente lang lahat, hindi mawawala sa isipan nating lahat na either plano talaga yon or kung hindi man plano, nagkita accidentally, since nakita na, might as well pag-usapan na. Might as well pag-usapan na natin kung ano ba yung plano natin. Will there still be some possibilities, some changes come November 15? Pwede pa tayo mag-consolidate. Pero makita mo yung mga litrato nga, Atty. Karen, di ba? I recall there's one picture there na inangat ni Governor Gwen Garcia yung kamay both ni Sara saka ni Senator BBM.
But Mike, meron naman nagsabi, and I'm friends kasi rin with the daughter of Governor Gwen, si Christina, and the husband, si Duke. Yung pag-angat daw ng kamay ni Governor Gwen dun sa kamay ni BBM at ni Inday Sara is for her endorsement, not to endorse them. So balik na daw. Kaya siya daw yung nasa gitna. Kaya talagang interesting yung nangyari. At today naman, nasa interview si Senator Bato de la Rosa. I watched his interview this morning on CNN Philippines. And he was saying hindi siya na-threaten dun sa meeting na naganap between, because Senator Bato is a presidential candidate ng PDP.
Yes.
So tinatanong siya kung hindi raw ba siya na-threaten dun sa meeting na naganap. And Senator Bato was saying matagal niya nang kilala si Mayor Inday since bata pa ito. Kaya kilala naman daw niya yun. At she doesn't, ang sabi naman ni Senator Bato, baka hindi yun endorsement talaga because it was more of paano tumulong dun sa hugpong daw sa region, and hindi pa raw, nung kinausap niya raw si Mayor Inday in person, ang nararamdaman niya raw baka magbago pa yung isip sa pagtakbo as president. So again, Undas was very quiet, but now that we're back, and today is still All Souls Day, so it's still a little bit quiet, but paano na tayo ngayon sa elections, yung mga how it will unfold, and it's always exciting here in the Philippines.
Nag-celebrate ka ba ng Halloween or did you do anything for the Halloween? Yung alam mo naman, at paano meron tayong ginaya natin ng Amerika, di ba, na nag-celebrate ng Halloween. Any excuse anyway to party is always welcome. Ano bang ginawa mo during the long weekend?
Yeah, we had an exciting long weekend. I went out of town to Batangas, to the beach with my whole family, and I have a 1-month-old son. It was his first out of town trip, and it's really exciting in both ways. In a sense, first out of town trip for the baby, but also for me, also a learning experience. That's where I realized, grabe pala mag-travel with a baby. Parang pati sterilizer, binabaon, and of course, punong-puno yung kotse because we also had 2 people taking care of the baby. So talagang food production. And but that we had fun, and trick or treat. I have 2 nieces and of course my baby boy, but we did trick or treat in my parents' house. Nag-room to room na lang sila. Doon na lang yung candy para matry nila at least.
Oo nga daw eh. Yung iba nga nag-treat to treat, balita ko in some of the gated communities, so to speak. Inalaw yata nila, pero yung iba naman drive-thru, parang drive-thru treat or treat or something like that. Kasi nga, as much as possible, less contact. Hindi ko naman na-witness, pero balita ko naman pinayagan nila, no? To a certain extent, yung trick or treat. Ako naman, Atty. Karen, during the long weekend, so a few days after that meeting in Cebu, nandun din naman ako sa Cebu. At I got to see Governor Gwen Garcia. Acting Mayor Mike Rama of Cebu City, who was the former mayor as well, and the Mayor Cortez of Mandawi City, and Mayor Sitoy of Cordova, no? Pero hindi walang panahon para pag-usapan ng politika at that time. Ang pinag-usapan kasi namin, nandun kami lahat dahil nga yung Cebu-Cordova Bridge, or yung tinatawag nilang, although I don't think that the TR would like to call it, or DPWH would like to call it, the third bridge, no? But it's really the third bridge, the Santo Niño Bridge, that new bridge, iconic bridge which cost about 30 billion pesos, ay na-connect na. No? Hindi pa siya operational. We're expecting it to be operational next year. Pero na-connect na at malaking ginhawa ito sa mga pag natapos na ito talaga in the sense na operational na. Malaking ginhawa ito sa ating mga kababayan sa Cebu and even in the surrounding areas in the Visayas, no? Because mas madali nang mag-travel papunta sa Mactan Island to Cebu, which even with the two bridges ngayon, grabe ang traffic.
Yes, I've experienced that. Yeah.
Oo. Kaya malaking bagay. Nandun kami, kasama naming chairman, si MVP, of course, who also had the vision to support the vision of Secretary Sitoy, who sadly passed away. Hindi niya na nakitang matapos, but I'm sure up there in heaven, nakituntuwa siya kasi talagang isa sa vision niya to na makonect ang Cordova to the main province which is Cebu. Kaya nandun po yung mga nandun yung ating mga government leaders, pati yung mga members ng mga councils nila, and of course the Spanish ambassador. Ambassador Jorge was there to honor and grace the occasion, and of course yung ating mga contractors from abroad, no? Acciona, then the local ones, Balfour, and of course the Consuni, the DMCI headed by the legendary Sid Consuni. Kaya maganda yung pagtitipon na yun kasi parang napakita talaga natin na pag nagsama-sama lahat, ang pribadong sektor at ang gobyerno para sa isang proyekto na makakatulong sa taong bayan ay kayang-kayang gawin, and we can get the best, not only best talents, engineers, architects, planners within the Philippines but even from abroad. Tulong-tulungan at natapos to in very good record time. This is one of the fastest PPP projects between the local governments of Cordova and Cebu, and of course the Metro Pacific Group. No? Kaya tuwan-tuwa po aming chairman, si MVP, tuwan-tuwa po lahat ng Cebuanos dito sa proyektong ito. At sana one of these days, pag I'm sure pupunta ka ng Cebu or sa ating tagapakinig, at I'm sure marami tayong Bisaya nakikinig sa akong mga kauban, mga kaigsuunan ng mga Bisaya, malipay yun mo. Kung makita-anin mo ang bridge, kay guwapo yung kayo. Guwapo, iconic. It changed the landscape, the landscape as well as the skyline of Cebu. And you will be very proud to see this bridge. No? Kaya gusto ko lang i-share yun, no? Na yun yung Halloween na ginawa namin. No? At it was a very good one.
Yeah, very big treat to the people. And actually, Attorney Mike, ang magpapasalamat sa inyo, I think everyone, including me as a frequent tourist of Cebu, because ilang beses na ako naiwanan ng flight ko sa Cebu. Dahil sa traffic, grabe talaga ang traffic. Tama ka, from the city to Mactan, where the airport is. And tama ka, one of the very impressive things about this project is it's a PPP by an LGU. I think you're the first project na magawa na PPP na LGU ang involved na major infra like this scale. Kasi normally at this scale, yung ganyang kamahal, it's a national government project.
At nag-iisip na kami ng pang-apat na bridge.
Oh,
at
wow.
Ang vision talaga eventually, i-share na rin natin sa ating mga kababayan kasi marami naman sa ating tagapakinig sa kabisayaan din. No? Talaga ang vision ni Chairman MVP, pati na ang ating Pangulo, ni President Duterte. Natandaan ko, yun isa sa mga pinag-usapan nila noon. Noong mga 4 years ago ay nagkaroon sila ng groundbreaking ceremonies doon sa pagtayo ng bridge na ito. Is eventually to connect the islands by bridges. Kunyari, from Cebu to Negros Oriental. From Cebu to Bohol. Mga ganyan. Kukonekta. Of course, we already have the San Juanico. No? Oo.
Yeah. Napakaganda idea. I
Maganda.
think it will also help with the logistics because
Tama.
ngayon, lalo nung nagka-pandemic, very limited yung
Yes.
flights. But by car, it's easier to travel because it's
Yes.
also not super spreader pagka nag-travel ka by car kasi contained ka with just people within your own bubble or household. So magandang tulong yan, lalo na kung galing Visayas, yung iba, yung mga logistically, yung mga deliveries, kung magta-travel by car or trucks at tuloy-tuloy na sa Cebu because yun naman, nandiyan yung mga major ports pang deliver sa mas malayong islands katulad ng Luzon. So
Yes.
I really hope mangyari yan. Where is the next bridge potentially?
Well, I don't know the exact location for now, but it must be, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the north siguro, a northern part of Cebu connecting to Mactan. Kasi sa amin is in Cordova, connecting to the, alam mo may Shumart doon yung sa SRP, tinatawag na ng SRP area. There's a huge Shumart there. Doon naka-connect sa Cebu City side. No? So they're looking at the potential for Fort Bridge. At I think napag-aralan na and malamang hindi ako magugulat kung mabilis din matuloy. Because at the end of the day, malaking bagay talaga ang bridge, ang mga bridges. Nakita naman natin even in China, isang bansa na talagang they really make good bridges and they're quick in constructing them, and it allows their people to travel from one point to the other. Siyempre, pag mabilis ang pagbabiyahe ng tao at goods, cargo, mas mura ang bilihin kasi mas mura ang freight charges, no? Ang transportation expenses. It will really benefit everyone. Saka yung, di ba, kaya ang sinasabi ng mga ADB studies, JICA studies, we lose billions and billions because of traffic, di ba? So isa to sa mga solusyon na at least tapos na, and siguro baka by April next year, sa awa ng Diyos, ma-inaugurate na, open na to the public, and of course we will be inviting the President and the national government to attend this very important event.
Yeah, it's very impressive na dito pa matatapos under this administration because it adds to this whole build focus of this president. But I have a question, Attorney Mike. This is something that also came up when I was still Undersecretary for the Department of Public Works.
Yes, you're right. Right.
Yeah, I sat in the board of the Toll Regulatory Board, TRB.
TRB, yeah.
It's the supervising authority for mga PPP na highways, bridges, basta may bayad, we also regulate the tolls.
Correct.
But I remember when we were meeting about this, nasa ginagawa pa lang that time yung Cebu Cordova Bridge. The position of some people in our board was that hindi siya covered ng TRB because it's not it's an LGU project. So what's the current status? I mean, I'm curious.
I'm glad that you raised that, Atty. Karen. Hindi sabi nga ng TRB na hindi sila involved, hindi nila jurisdiction sa LGU project. So ang kakausapin natin, ang mag-uusap would be the municipalities of Cordova and the city of Cebu together with us. Pag-uusapan natin kung ano yung tamang tarifa or toll rate na i-apply dito sa proyekto ito.
So right now, wala pa tayong indicative rate for how much it will cost to cross the bridge.
Baka meron na, pero hindi lang ako privy kung magkano or how much exactly. But I would assume na by this time meron na yung more or less a figure that they're looking at or na pinag-uusapan na nila. Kasi yun nga, tinitignan nila na magbukas ito bandang April next year. Yeah, lapit na.
Yeah, perfect for the summer. Maraming magbabiyahe. And
Yes. At I guess perfect for the elections.
Yes, yung mga madaling magbiyahe. But ilang kilometers pala for our viewers' benefit?
You know? A total siguro of total of, trying to recall, baka ma-confuse ako dun sa isang pa. So, a total of between 6 to 8 kilometers, I think. 8
Oh, that's
kilometers.
impressive. I think that's currently the longest inter-island bridge we have. Because
Yes.
prior to that, it was the San Juanico Bridge.
Yes.
From,
yes.
di ba, Leyte to San Juanico. Anong ba kinoconnect niya? But
Leyte to the tip of Luzon.
yeah, and that's only two and a half kilometers, but something like that. Maliit lang siya. So,
Tagal na ako hindi nakapunta doon sa San Juanico Bridge. Tagal na talaga. The last time was during the campaign for the Senate in 1987.
Oh my gosh.
So, hindi ka pa nanganak.
Hindi siya, pinanganak na ako. But ang tagal na pala, hindi naman siya nagbago. Maganda yung quality ng bridge.
Yes.
I used to go there a lot because when I was an associate for CSIP law firm, I used to go there to Ormoc a lot because of some geothermal power plant that was I was working for, and I was handling, and I go there a lot. Tapos nakikita namin yung San Juanico Bridge. So, yeah.
Maganda siya, maganda rin. Isa ring what you call it, infrastructure marvel, no? Lalo na nung panahon na yon. I think nagkakaroon na marami na itong mga infrastructure na tinatayo. At sana ay matapos sila as soon as possible. At alam na naman dahil galing ka sa DPWH. No? At maganda talaga itong ginawa ni Pangulo, no? Yung build. Malaking bagay. Yun talaga kailangan natin.
Well, congratulations again to you, to MVP, to Metro Pacific Group. This is a great accomplishment. And I really hope tuloy-tuloy na kayo. Dagdagan nyo pa yung projects nyo. And of course, for you to share with us ahead para we get, advance information about the upcoming projects, because this is something that I'm sure everyone looks forward to.
Tama ka. Nung nandun ako sa Cebu nga, hindi ako masyado nakaroon ng access kasi ako old school ako eh. Pag nagbabasa ako, gusto ko na hawakan ko pa rin. Gusto ko na hawakan.
Oo, baka dahil sa training natin sa law school, di ba? Ako the same. I like hard copy.
Kaya medyo nahuli yata ako sa mga ibang balita. Pero ang latest na nabasa ko was that nagkaroon ng survey, latest survey, at medyo si Isko, si BBM, saka si VP Lenny, medyo magkalapit. Tama ba yung basa ko nun? Nabasa ko lately?
Oo. Is it this week? Hindi ko pa yata nakikita yung survey.
May lumabas na sa Philippine Star yata kanina. There was an article about a survey that came out down. But then again, ako ang paniwala ko naman dyan, Atty. Karen's survey, siyempre importante rin yan talaga. No? Yan ay isang tool. Tool actually for the candidate, no? And for the campaign managers, no? To use the survey para malaman nila kung saan sila malakas, saan sila mahina, anong lugar malakas, anong lugar mahina, anong issue na dapat kailangan nilang bigyan tugon pa kasi yun yata ang isyung pinagmamasdan ng taong bayan. No? Yun ang purpose ng survey. But at the end of the day, it's really just a snapshot of that particular moment. Kasi alam naman natin na maraming sa mga nakaraang eleksyon, nung nag-upisa na yung pag-survey, maraming leading at this time of the elections, no, na not necessarily nanalo. At case in point na yan si Pangulo, di ba? Si President Duterte.
Mm-hmm.
So, while it's true, no, importante yung survey, pero yan talaga ngayon at this point, hindi pa talaga ibig sabihin na kung sino man ang huli o sino man ang una, na yun na yun.
Oo. And I think kaya yan yung gusto kong one of these days, magkaroon tayo ng guest na who is an expert on surveys, because I really want to understand, lalo na sinasabi nila na sometimes even the way the questions are phrased affects the results of the survey. So maganda siguro marinig ng mga tao, di ba, na ano yung what they call the nuances, and how do we interpret it, di ba? Pati yung time, usually ini-indicate nila kung kailan yung survey na conduct, and sometimes they even don't include the names of certain people, di ba? So I mean, basically yung pag nakita lang natin kasi tayo as ordinary people, I just look at the names, pati paano sila rin and ano yung percentage.
Yes.
But if you read the fine print pala, marami talagang pagkakaiba. And I think we can continue this conversation, Attorney Mike. Napaka-interesting na bringing up mo to, and I want to see the results of that. But maybe for now, we'll have to take a short break.
Yes. Huwag po kayo umalis at samahan niyo po kami ni Atty. Karen. See you in a bit.
Thank you.
The mystical, the magical, and the occult, made easy by G and Marge Santos on Mystical Buffet, aired every Saturday from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. This program gives insights and guidance in the world of essential spirituality and wisdom of the ages. Its aim is to share extraordinary topics to everyday lives of ordinary people. Walk with them in a mystical, alternative, and less than ordinary path of life. Watch them every Saturday on Teleradio Bandido, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, digital free-to-air Channel 29, Facebook.com/DZRJ 8:10 a.m., and YouTube channel RJAM News.
Ito ang Frontliners, Damayan, Talakayan at Aksyon. Tuwing linggo, alas 3 ng hapon hanggang alas 4. Kasama si Jude Ika. Live sa DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Mega Manila, DZRJ Teleradio Bandido via Sky Cable Channel 224, TV Plus boxes at Digital Radio Free-to-Air Channel 29. Sa Facebook, www.facebook.com DZRJ 8:10 a.m. Sa YouTube,
RJAM News.
at Radio Garden app. Frontliners, Damayan, Talakayan at Aksyon!
Watch and listen. Kontra Birada every Tuesday from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Hosted by Atty. Mike Toledo and Atty. Karen Jimeno. This program will discuss the most important and fresh news and events and feature their guest, Atty. Salvador Sal Panelo. So catch Kontra Birada on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, GMA Afforda boxes, and all DTT boxes. Facebook/DZRJ 8:10 a.m. and YouTube channel RJAM News.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat at andito po kami ulit, Atty. Karen Jimeno and Atty. Mike Toledo.
Good afternoon everyone again. Sa ngayon lang sumama at sumali sa atin. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Mayong hapon kaninyong tanan.
Buti na lang meron tayong dito, Bisaya. At salamat, Atty. Mike, for your bilingual hosting. Or trilingual, kasi may English pa. But prior to the break, you mentioned the survey. So sabi ko nga tamang-tama magbe-break. I wanted to see what you were talking about. And it was an article, at least the one I saw, in Manila Bulletin. Tama ka, dikit na dikit nga. Number 1, si Mayor Isko Moreno, but followed very closely by Bongbong Marcos and then Vice President Leni Robredo. And then after that, yung tatlo yung pinaka mas dikit-dikit. And of course, lalo na yung kay Mayor Isko and Bongbong Marcos. But
yes.
Fourth is Manny Pacquiao, and then Senator Ping Lacson. So, and then lastly is the VP candidate, Senator Bato de la Rosa at 3%. So, you're right, exciting.
Yeah. Ang nag-conduct ng survey is a group called
PMD?
Yeah, RPMD. And according to the article that I read, they had, according to them, 10,000 respondents. So
10,000. It's probably, in terms of how samples go, I don't know how representative that is for the Philippines, and it doesn't say in the article kasi for yung 10,000 respondents if this is ano yung distribution all over the Philippines. But I think at this point for president talaga it's really an open game for the candidates, at least for the top I would say the top 5, no?
Totoo yun. Kaya nga, tama yung suggestion mo. Siguro, pwede nating imbitahin in one of our programs, no? As we get closer to the election. Ang isang mga expert o mga dalubhasa when it comes to surveys, no? Maybe we can even invite the people behind the survey organizations themselves. Sa Pulse Asia, at pati na rin sa SWS, or any of the representatives, or a third person, not exactly a surveying company or surveying firm, pero siya isa sa mga siguro nag-a-analyze ng survey, no? Just to maybe that person can give us an idea on how surveys are conducted, the reliability of surveys, di ba? How surveys can be manipulated if ever, magandang topic yan. It would be good. Pwede nating, and I'm sure Secretary Sal would like to join that particular discussion as well. No?
Yes, and I'm sure as a candidate himself, Secretary Sal, as a candidate for Senate, would want to understand that as well. And what I find interesting dun sa survey na nabanggit mo, Attorney Mike, sa RPMD, Mayor Sara's name is still there as a vice presidential candidate. So she's leading the survey for vice president at 33%, followed by, actually followed closely by Senator Tito Soto at 26.8%. And then medyo malayo itong si Senator Bongo at 14.9%. But it's odd because she didn't even file for candidacy as vice president.
Yes.
Huh? So I think,
true.
Like just as what Secretary Sal Panelo said last Tuesday, na if Mayor Inday suddenly changes her mind and runs for president, it will really change the landscape again suddenly, or for any position, I guess. Like even it looks like from the survey, even if she runs for vice president, mababago niya talaga yung landscape.
Yes, that's for sure. That's for sure. Kaya nothing is still really certain till after November 15. Kaya sa ngayon talagang, lalo na sa mga nag-usapan natin kanina, yung nangyari sa Cebu, so marami talaga, no? Maraming mga discussions, mga kwentuhan na lumalabas, no? Talaga. But then again, all of us, it's really, lahat tayo ay humuhula lang. Guesswork lang tayo, no? Hindi pa talaga natin malalaman kung magbabago ba ang isip, kung baka, di ba si Sec Sal ay sa mga columns na sinulat niya, parang talagang kinukumbinsi niya si Mayor Sara na tumakbo. So tignan natin kung ano magiging sitwasyon in the next couple of days. Malapit na. November 2 na tayo, di ba?
Yeah. So again, this is like a telenovela for all of us. But yung isa pang natutuwa ako would be in terms of COVID situation, because we're really now close to 2 years since into this pandemic, and the cases have been going down. So sinarado nga yung mga cemetery, and today is All Souls Day. So yung mga dapat siguro na nasa cemeteryo, hindi naman natuloy, which is probably why it's still a working day, no? Hindi siya ginawang holiday. But the numbers seem to be going down, and I was listening to Okta Research. One of the representatives said that it even if the testing is not even if testing is not high, the numbers are still going down as shown in hospital occupancy rates.
Correct. Correct.
So I guess that's good news because there are now talks of Metro Manila going down to alert level 2 very soon.
Yes.
And if that happens, then we're probably all gonna have a Merry Christmas, di ba? Alam mo naman dito sa Pilipinas, gustong-gusto natin ang Pasko. So, and
Yeah,
it's
I'm glad you raised that, Attorney Karen, no, na itong good news from Okta. But of course, at the end of the day, huwag din natin kalimutan na habang bumababa naman to, yung health protocols, wearing of face masks, washing of hands, a bit of social distancing pa rin, at as much as possible, iwas pa rin sa big crowds just to be on the safe side. No? Pero marami na nga akong nakausap na magaling sa ibang bansa. Isang gabi, for example. At sabi nila, iba na rin sa ibang bansa talaga, parang back to normal na. No?
I agree. Yeah.
Talagang nag-a-adjust na sila. They have adjusted to living with the virus. Kasi at the end of the day, hindi talaga natin, yung virus na yan, hindi na talaga mawawala yan. At we just would have to learn how to live with it. By, of course, yun nga, getting vaccinated, making sure that we follow the protocols, and ensuring that our healthcare system can withstand, no, or can handle any issue involving COVID or COVID-related cases. No? Kaya ang maganda nito, nakikita na natin na habang tayo ay tumataas na yung vaccination rate natin, yun ang report ni Secretary Galvez, dumadami na ang navaccinate sa Metro Manila as well as other parts of the country. Yung number of vaccinations per day, mas marami na as compared to before, and they're saying that perhaps by the end of the year or early next year, yung target na herd immunity ay makukuha na. Lahat to good news at nagbibigay ng pag-asa sa ating lahat, lalo na din po sa ating mga negosyante, sa ating mga workers, of course, pati na rin yung mga frontliners, no, sa mga estudyante. Kasi ang malaking tama din dito is the fact na nagkaroon po ng, siyempre, di ba, dahil nga sa lockdown, the lockdown that had to be done in order to control the spread of the virus. Pero ang nangyari ay tinamaan talaga ng malakas ang ating ekonomiya. Can you imagine contracting by 9% and all that, no? Talagang masakit. At alam naman natin maraming nawalan ng trabaho, maraming ay may trabaho man pero hindi talaga yung sapat na sweldo na dapat tanggapin dahil nga yung negosyo mismo ay nanghihingalo na rin, no? Na kung how to survive. Kaya this is really good news. Kaya pagpunta ko ng Cebu, di ba, nagpunta ako Cebu because of this trip.
Oo nga. Kwento mo naman kami, is it open already? Or, yeah.
Nag-open na. Oo, open na sila. No? Basta lang may vaccination ka, magpasok mo doon, and makikita mo marami ng mga places na nagbubukas at kinausap ko yung mga waiter, kinausap ko yung mga taxi drivers at they're very, very happy na nag-open up na ang Cebu. Kasi nga talaga daw hirap na hirap sila nung nagsira at talaga nawalan sila ng trabaho, hindi nila malaman kung paano sila mabubuhay kasi karamihan sa mga ibang trabaho yan is no work, no pay. Kaya ngayon that these lockdowns will slowly being lifted, no, and hopefully soon will be really a thing of the past. Wala na yung mga lockdown na yan, balik na kaagad ulit ang mga trabaho at balik na ang ginhawa ng ating mga kababayan, lalo na kasi malapit ng Pasko.
And Attorney Mike, the numbers really prove what you're saying. So this morning, I read an article on, I don't know if it was written today, but it was on Philippine Star. And it said that according to NEDA, nung naging alert level 3 na ang Metro Manila since October 16 to 31, at least in that period, nag-earn or umakyat ng 5.8 billion pesos yung nag-gain ng economy. And na-reduce yung employment by 48,000 jobs. So dito natin makikita na, and that's only for 2 weeks. So like what you said, every time we go to a stricter alert level status or higher quarantine restriction, ang laki-laki talaga ng impact sa ekonomiya in terms of job losses, pati yung nawawala sa ekonomiya. So sana talaga, tama ka, yung approach would be how to live with the virus instead of just constantly locking down. Kanina, I saw some videos from my friends because I have friends nung na kaibigan ko na mga nasa UC Berkeley na nandun pa rin because they live in the US. Tama ka, mukhang normal na talaga. They recently, at least some of my friends recently attended a concert at nakita ko yung pictures sila, siksikan talaga. Parang walang pandemic. But it's not like the US is acting blindly. Even early this year and late last year, they were already having NBA games. Napuno yung mga stadium. And it didn't really make their economy worse. I mean, obviously it improved their economy, but the situation, ng COVID cases, it didn't make them really worse off in terms of reaching critical points. So I think vaccination is key, and then continuously observing the protocols. But then what type of protocols then? I think when it comes to holding concerts, like we can still have reasonable protocols that go with living with the virus. So I really hope this Christmas talagang patuloy-tuloy na itong pagluluwag sa ating ekonomiya at saka sa mga negosyo.
I join you in that prayer, no? And I'm sure lahat ng ating mga kababayan ganun din ang dinadasal, no? It's been 2 years na rin, no? At marami din sa atin, aside from magkaroon na ulit sila ng magandang kinabuhayan, marami din sa atin gusto nang bumiyahe at bisitahin ng kanilang mga loved ones, mga relatives, na wala ng takot, no? At wala ng gambala sa pagbabiyahe nila. Kaya mukhang sa ngayon, makikita mo ang direksyon talaga based on Okta findings na rin and sa mga sinabi mo na rin, no? And even mga statements galing sa IATF. Mukhang we are on the way to celebrating a very good Christmas as compared to the past 2 Christmases, no? At sabi naman ng mga ating mga economic managers as well as even the mga international organizations, no, mga nagbabantay ng health ng isang bansa like Fitch, for example, Standard & Poor's and those other organizations, mga credit standing organizations, no, they are saying that they're quite positive, but of course it may not be in the high 7-8% growth that would have been best, no, without the pandemic. But still, if we're going to be able to do 4 or 5%, malaking bagay na rin yun. At hopefully by perhaps the second half of next year, hopefully we can mabalik tayo sa pre-pandemic levels, no? Anyway, hindi naman madali yan. At mahirap talaga yan. Talaga kailangan tulungan yan, both the government, of course, and the private sector helping each other, no, to make sure that we can really survive this crisis. Kagaya nga na sinabi ko minsan, it's not just really a question of surviving the crisis, but thriving, no? Not just to survive, but to thrive in this crisis. Huwag tayong pumayag na matalo tayo dito sa pandemic na to be enslaved by this virus, no? Madali man siguro sabihin, pero kailangan talaga ganun ang attitude natin. Laban tayo at tulungan.
I agree. And the other thing I've been wondering about when yung dito na at least open na yung ekonomiya, pero yung malaking tanong for me would be face-to-face classes. Kailan kaya nila papayagan yan? Because I think for a lot of kids, the learning really comes from the human interaction. Lalo na for young kids, at least for graduate level and law school level, they can can really do online classes and still learn a lot. Pero yung mga bata, I don't think they're really getting the mental stimulation that you get from face-to-face classes. So I wonder what DepEd will decide soon because again magto 2 years na. So yung development siguro ng mga bata medyo malaki yung impact. And I don't know kung ano yung magiging where the decision will go. Kasi meron akong nakita na news na meron daw mga magiging pilot classes and they've started vaccinating children for a lot of LGUs. Meron ng mga vaccination sa below 18, so between 12 to 17 years old.
Yes, isang malaking yan. It's good na rinaise mo yan, kasi isa sa mga talaga naapektuhan din dito sa pandemya ito ay yung education. Dahil nga hindi sila makapasok, and they have to do it virtually. Ang malaking sabi ng mga dalubhasa, mga psychologists, psychiatrists, at pati na rin mga educators, iba pa rin talaga yung face-to-face, lalo na sa mga batang mga edad, kasi aside from learning, yung social interaction is very important. Yung pagsasama, pag-uusap, paglalaro, na nagkikita kayo. Pag nadideprive mo yung bata, nagiging parang, di ba? Hindi sila nakikita ng mga kaibigan niya, hindi sila nag-interact, hindi sila nagsama-sama. Lahat na ng virtual, mag-isa siya, o siguro may kasama siya, yung parent lang niya. Iba pa rin yun. Iba pa rin yung nagkakaroon talaga ng school activity na nagsasama-sama yung mga bata. Kaya isa sa mga pinag-aaralan nila yan because it may daw have its effects on the social skills ng ating mga kabataan. Na pinag-aaralan din nila yan. Kaya talagang sana as soon as possible magkaroon na ng face-to-face.
Yeah, because also, hindi naman yata high risk. So I would love to hear an expert talk about this because I've been reading some literature that's saying na ang kids hindi sila high risk individuals for COVID. So considering the vaccination rate, particularly for NCR, I think nasa 80% na tayo, right? For NCR.
Yes.
Target population. Kung pumapasok ng mga bata at hindi naman sila high risk in terms of developing any complications. So it's just like getting the flu. At ang concern would be baka iuwi nila sa parents nila na may comorbidities. And if the parents or other household members are vaccinated, then maybe, it's the practical approach would be to allow them to go out, allow them to attend school. I don't know what people will think about that, yung mga nakikinig sa atin ngayon. But for instance, for my husband, because he's American, his brothers live in the US. One of his nieces, bali yung anak ng brother-in-law ko, my American brother-in-law, yung anak niya, who's I think about 9 years old, got COVID. And she goes to school. But her symptoms were just like the flu, like she had cough, some fever, pero nawala rin after a few days. And but they were all, the adults, they were vaccinated. So wala namang naging issue. So it's just like the flu. And I think when you said na we have to learn to live with the virus, maybe, it's more of just thinking of it as getting the flu and learning how to deal with it. Obviously, yes. And if there are comorbidities, then these are the people that, we really have to avoid in terms of having them contaminated, right? So baka ang pwede nilang gawin would be children, like allowing face-to-face classes, but when it comes to parents that have high comorbidities, then pwedeng payagan na ma-exempt yung bata from face-to-face classes. I don't know. I think they just have to rationalize kung anong mga policies and leave it maybe up to the parents to decide kung gusto nilang papasukin yung anak nila or hindi, right? But I think it's something that has to be at least creatively solved.
I agree. The good news is I read somewhere na they are developing or they will allow vaccination of kids between the age of 7 and 12, something like that. No, so these are again good developments. These are again good developments na hopefully if executed will really allow already the children to attend face to face. Maybe initially hybrid muna, some virtual, some face to face, but then slowly really going back to the face to face type of teaching. Parang in a way to segue lang a bit, no? sa in the case naman sa working people, no? sa mga kumpanya, whether government or private, maraming mga usapan both here and abroad. Maybe it's about time already, perhaps to actually take a look again at the possibility of, with or without this pandemic, maybe a work from home arrangement is also efficient, depending on the kind of job. No? Depende sa trabaho mo, depende sa kumpanya mo, kung ano yung ginagawa ng kumpanya mo. Pero maraming nagsasabi, may mga experts on when it comes to the world, mga human relations experts, for example, even psychologists again, no, na nagsasabing baka, and even executives are saying na maybe to a certain extent magkaroon ng hybrid. There mas nagiging effective daw or efficient yung tao. Na siguro if he only goes to the office because it can be done remotely anyway, instead of going 5 days of the week, he will just go 3 days of the week. 2 days he can work from home. But of course, his performance should not be in any way go down, di ba? Kailangan yung productivity, yung effectivity, efficiency, nandiyan pa rin dapat, no? But that way, he saves time traveling. He can spend a little more time also helping out in the household and spending quality time with the kids. No? May mga studies na ginagawa ngayon. In fact, may mga theory ngayong iba na hindi na daw babalik. Some companies will no longer go back to yung 5 days a week reporting for office. They will stick to the 3 or 4. Pero meron din namang another school of thought. Alam naman, and anything. And now, we are really still all studying what's going on, no? Because this pandemic has affected us not only health-wise, not only income-wise, but psychologically, mentally, and even how we do our work, how we communicate has been affected, di ba? So, meron naman nagsasabi, hindi. Yung work from home, hindi efficient daw, hindi effective. In fact, mas demanding daw doon sa mga empleyado. Kasi wala na daw division, na blur na yung lines between official work and personal time, di ba? Your personal time with your family and with yourself. Kasi anytime pwede magkaroon ng Zoom meeting. Dati, more or less, 8 to 5 lang, no? Ngayon, anytime pwede mag-Zoom meeting, pwede katawagan. So, may nagsasabi na hindi rin maganda talaga tong work from home arrangements. Kaya this is, I think, an ongoing study pa ito. At I'm sure they will, depending on the company, they will make certain adjustments.
But I'm curious to hear what you think, Attorney Mike. And the MVP group is also a large group. So sa inyo ba, have you adopted this hybrid up to now? Because there are different styles. Like where my sister works, she's also a lawyer. Pero she works in a company. She's a corporate lawyer there. But they are still required nandun pa rin every day because that's the style of the head of the company. But me, before, when I was working for Kisumbing Torres, which is a law firm as well, Baker McKenzie Manila, there was already, and this was way, way before the pandemic, years before the pandemic, meron na kaming 1 day work from home. Like once you reach a mid-level associate, so medyo gitna yon sa hierarchy ng mga lawyers in our firm, meron ka nang mapipili na 1 day na work from home day mo.
Sarap pa.
Oo, dati mo. And that was like a long time ago. 2006, 2007 pa yan, ha? So, tama ka. Pero I think, like, even my mom, who's a lawyer, she said now notice niya, lalo na for admin staff, they're really less productive naman pag work from home. So, yes, iba-iba talaga, no? So, I don't know what you think, but ako personally, I've been going out again, and sometimes I go to the office. Last week, kitang-kita ko na yung traffic ulit. So,
Yeah.
iniisip ko rin parang nung height ng pandemic, even after I gave birth, I was still super efficient at attending meetings because kaya mong dikit-dikit 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 because you just hop from one Zoom to another.
Yeah.
As yung last week pag in person, talagang yan dyan na naman yung allowance na kailangan mo ibigay na 1 hour before the meeting, papunta ka na doon depending on the distance because the traffic's back. So I guess it depends because the other issue is internet connection is not reliable in the Philippines. So I've had issues also with that. Sometimes we have someone attending the meeting na hindi namin marinig or naputol. So I don't know. What's your take on that? I mean, especially from your experience with your company.
Sa amin naman, of course, because of the health reasons, and also to comply with the requirements of the IATF then, nagkaroon kami, of course, ng work from home arrangements. No? No lockdown, of course, obviously, wala. No? But ngayon, slowly nag-a-adjust. No? Twice a week, 3 times a week. In some companies, they go to the office every day. Hindi pa siguro every day, siguro 3 or 4 times a week. No? Pero yung chairman po namin, si Chairman MVP, araw-araw po nasa opisina yon.
A workaholic.
Kaya talagang kailangan din kami, kung kailangan talaga pupunta sa opisina, even if we're only talagang required twice a week or thrice a week, we make it a point to also be in the office because our chairman is taking precautions, of course, is in the office every day because ang pananaw ni Chairman MVP is that how can you lead your troops in fighting this pandemic if you are not there in front to lead them? Nakikita ko rin. Kaya lahat kami doon din. We have to go to the office. We have to go to the office. Pero when you mentioned na yung sa law firm mo na meron kayong 1 day na work from home or whatever.
Yeah. And that was already
napakasarap naman nun.
Yeah, that was the term already, work from home. So I was thinking na this was way before the pandemic, 2006, 2007, yeah.
Nung nasa Accra Law Office ako, kasi doon ako nag-umpisa mag-umpisa sa pagpa-practice ng law, no, sa Accra Law, Angara Law Office, no. Angara, Abelio, Regala, Cruz, Concepcion, law offices. Sa totoo lang, hanggang linggo, nasa opisina ako.
No, but tama ka naman. Actually,
associate pa kami.
Tama ka dyan. Ako rin. Kahit na meron work from home day, lalo na pag malalaki yung files at hindi siya available digitally, I end up still going to the office. So, tama ka. I think that this whole work from home, even now with you still choose to go because you're in that top level position where when your chairman's there, you also choose to be there to lead the company. I think for us, even as an associate, because medyo ang baba ng lower in the kailangan talaga namin din, lalo na kung yung files nasa office. So, kahit work from home, and you're right, Saturdays, Sundays, walang pinipiling araw. Holidays, I've had several Christmas Eves na magno-Noche Buena na nasa computer pa ako because I'm trying to finish something. So, yeah, ganyan talaga ang buhay. And, I think, yesterday, I was out, I went to buy some things and merong mga bukas na mga deli and I was asking them, buti bukas kayo because I saw the others, some of the stores I had to go to were closed. And yung pinagbibilihan ko said, ganun talaga sa amin kahit na holiday. And I said, no, but I really admire you all for doing this. So nakakatuwa rin when I see na maraming out there na working very hard even on holidays, regardless of what day of the week.
That's true. I think we need to take a short break, Attorney Karen, no? Para sa ating mga commercials. So wag muna po kayong umalis. Don't touch that button or whatever it is device you're using. We'll be right back.
Right back.
You can now listen to RJFM and DZRJ 8:10 a.m. from wherever you are. Just type in RJ 100.3 FM on TuneIn Radio, Streama, Radio Garden, and just type in RJFM for online box radio. For DZRJ 8:10 a.m., just type in DZRJ 8:10 a.m. on TuneIn Radio, Streama, and Radio Garden. Happy listening!
Be enlightened with inspiring stories. Interesting biblical features. And insightful interviews with the pillars of our Catholic faith. Power to Unite with Elvira.
Watch and listen. Kontra Birada every Tuesday from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Hosted by Attorney Mike Toledo and Attorney Karen Jimeno. This program will discuss the most important and fresh news and events and feature their guest, Attorney Salvador Sal Panelo. So catch Kontra Birada on Radio Bandido TV, Channel 224 Sky Cable, TV Plus boxes, GMA Afforda boxes, and all DTT boxes. Facebook/DZRJ 810 AM and YouTube channel RJAM News.
Welcome back.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And yung mga nag-join sa atin just now, ako po si Attorney Karen Jimeno at kasama po natin si Attorney Mike Toledo.
Good evening to all of you yung ngayon lang nakinig sa atin.
Attorney Mike, meron tayong babatiin. Someone texted me, nakakilala ko, si June Labra Cardente. I don't know if you remember him. He said, Attorney Karen, congratulations to your program at Radio Bandido. Regards to my kabayan, Attorney Mike. Keep it up and more power.
Yes, kamusta, June? Kamusta? Thank you so much sa iyong kind words at please continue watching us at pakikalat na rin na meron tayong bagong programa dito sa RJTV, Radio Bandido, Kontra Birada at marami tayong tatalakaying mga issues habang palapit tayo sa eleksyon. At kasama natin of course yung ating special guest na si Secretary Sal Panelo, ang dating Presidential Legal Counsel or Advisor and spokesman na rin, na marami siyang mga insights na siya lang makakapagbigay dahil nasa loob siya.
And speaking of spokesperson, Attorney Mike, I saw your interview recently with ANC on, I think that's, the essence of a spokesperson or something to that effect. So maybe can you share with us, because tama ka, now that we're nearing the elections, yan yung isa pa magiging key ingredient dun sa mga candidates, like who their spokespersons are. And minsan pag nanonood nga tayo, yung mga spokesperson yung sila yung nagsasagutan. So I think if you remember 2016 elections, there was a time si Secretary Sal Panelo, yung lagi ko nakikita, na sumasagot sa mga issues that were being thrown by other candidates or other camps at President Duterte as a candidate at that time. So maybe you can share with us like what your insights are, because you were also the presidential spokesperson for former President Estrada. So you have a lot of experience on this.
Thank you, Attorney Karen. Well, talagang importante talaga ang trabaho ng isang spokesperson or tagapagsalita para sa isang government official, kandidato or sa Pangulo. Kasi ikaw yung mouthpiece, no? Ikaw yung mag-articulate na kung ano yung pulisiya ng gobyerno. Ang sa aking experience when I was the spokesperson of President Estrada and also became spokesperson of some companies and to a certain extent now with the group, no? Ang very important lang siguro is that one, you do not make policy. Kasi if you're a spokesperson, you are just articulating the policy of the government or your administration or yung policy ng iyong kumpanya. Hindi ka pwedeng maggawa ng sarili mong policy because as spokesperson, you're just supposed to explain, articulate, diba? Yan isa, no? It's just off the cuff, no? Off the cuff remarks ko. Pangalawa, importante na available ka. You must engage. Hindi pwedeng hindi ka humarap sa media. Alam ko mahirap humarap sa media. Galing din ako dyan sa trabaho niyan na hinaharap ko ang media araw-araw from 4:30 in the morning hanggang gabi. Lalo na nung panahon ni President Estrada. No? Trabaho nila yun eh. So, kailangan you have to understand also kung saan sila nagagaling. Alam mo, ang media, whether radio, TV, print, and now social media, naghahanap din sila ng istorya. At to a certain extent, pardon my saying this siguro, I don't know if I'm describing it correctly. Pero siyempre, dapat may quota ka sa storya. Hindi mo pwedeng sasabihin mo sa editor mo, you're covering Malacanang, example, or another important government institution. Sabihin mo, wala akong kwento, wala akong storya. Hindi pwede yon. So, you have to understand, lahat ng mga reporters, lahat ng mga editors, naghahanap sila ng storya. So, you have to produce. So, they go to you kasi ang spokesman is also an original source of information. Whether information coming from government or if you're from the private sector, from your corporation. So, ikaw talagang lalapitan. Now, pag hindi ka available or you don't make yourself available or ayaw mo silang kausapin, ikaw ang lugi. Because what will happen is, ang mga media, they have to come up with a story. Ang mangyari yan, either they go to another source which is not the prime source, and baka mali-mali pa masabi, or baka they will just go to your opponent or your competitor and then maybe get their side. And then yun na ang lalabas sa news, lugi ka. So, importante yung engagement, accessibility. No? So, you do not make policy and engagement and accessibility. And I think, siguro, just to make it short, lastly, but more importantly, you have to tell the truth. Hindi mo pwedeng bulahin ang taong bayan. Hindi mo pwedeng bulahin ang mga iyong tagapakinig. Whether you are a spokesman for government or you're a spokesman for a company that sells products, for example, no? Hindi kailangan mo sabihin ang katotohanan kaagad. For example, kung ikaw ay nasa pribadong sektor at ikaw ay spokesman ng isang produkto, na biglang nagkaroon ng perhaps poisoning, no? May masamang pangyayari sa produkto mo, marami nagkasakit kasi ginamit ang produkto mo. Kaysa bigla mo na lang hindi mo sila kakausapin, yung media or yung mga biktima, kailangan mo ready ka na sa yung statement and explain mo kung ano ba ang nangyari. For example, airplane crash. May iba na ng konti. Kung mag-crash ng aeroplano. Ang kinina, nagkaroon ng crash, hindi pa namin alam kung ano nangyari, pero iimbestigahan namin. At dun sa mga nabiktima o pamilyang nasaktan, natatamaan dahil sa crash na ito, ay handa po kami tumulong. Ito po ang aming mga numero. So you engage, you inform, engage. Hindi ka pwedeng lumayo. And tell the truth. Kasi kung malalaman kunyari, i-deny mo pa. Kunyari, hindi namin kasalanan yan. Tuturo kayo, finger pointing. It will be worse when it is discovered eventually na ikaw pa may kasalanan. Now, kung aminin mo, for example, opo, nagkamali po kami. Ito kasi na nangyari dyan. Kaya po nangyari dyan dahil sa pagkakamali namin ganito. Pero ito na po ang mga steps na ginagawa namin para ma-solve yung problema. At don't worry, nandito po kami para talagang tulungan po kayo. So maybe those 3 points lang, Karen, no? Very briefly dito sa programa ito, parang nagle-lecture ako. Pero yun lang, parang talagang don't make policy, engage, do not hide from the media. They are your friends. Media is not your enemy. They are there to help you make sure na yung message mo lalabas at maririnig ng taong bayan. And lastly, and maybe the most important, because you as they say, you can fool, di ba? Abraham Lincoln. You can fool some of the people some of the time, di ba? Or
most of the time.
what do you call it? Some of them most of the time, but definitely not all the people all the time, di ba?
Yeah.
Kaya yun lang. Yun lang naman.
Well, I'm sure yung mga nakikinig sa atin, it's very interesting to hear that because they will be seeing and hearing from a lot of spokespersons because we have 5, 6 presidential candidates, at least the viable ones. And then marami talaga siguro din yun yung gustong pasukan na trabaho, no? Whether it's PR and being spokesperson for public officials, but also for private companies, which is something that is really needed for a lot of companies, lalo na yung malalaking mga companies. And it's so helpful to hear that. And ako, parang in-interview na kita, but have you ever experienced a time that you're dealing with a crisis and you really don't know as well, wala pang instructions sa'yo from the principal, kung ano yung nangyayari or ano yung gagawin nila, but then you're already caught live in terms of being asked a question. How do you handle that? Kasi you said, I think number 1 na rule, diba? You don't make policy, but if you're being asked like a controversial question wherein, if you say you don't know, it will also reflect badly on the principal. How do you handle that? Or at least maybe kung may naisip ka in mind, maybe you can share that because out of curiosity, and at least diba, parang you're really enlightening also those people that are very curious about this type of jobs.
Very good question. Very good question yun, Atty. Karen. Actually, it really depends more or less on the situation and the issue involved. But in general, pag meron kang hindi mo alam, kagaya na nangyayari sa akin noon sa Malacanang, for example, pag may mga katanungan na talagang hindi ko alam ang sagot or issue na maybe I actually heard for the first time, I'm honest with them. I tell the members of the Malacanang Press Corps at the time, I will get back to you on that. I will ask the principal involved or the cabinet member involved, or if necessary, even ask the president on this particular issue, because at this point in time, I do not have yet the answer to your question. Hindi ko sila budabola, hindi ko sila bobolahin. Or I can say that, well, sa ngayon, ito po ang alam namin at ito po ang naganap, no? Or ito po ang posisyon ng gobyerno, for example, no? But ito po ay evolving. So kung ano man ang sabihin ko ngayon, baka in 2 or 3 hours time nag-iba na kasi the issue is evolving, di ba? So maybe at that point in time, that was the operative fact. You did not lie. Yun ang katotohanan sa panahon na yun. Ngunit since the issue is alive and moving, nag-iba na next day or 3 days. Hindi ka nag-lie. But you have to explain that. Yun ang importante. Kasi otherwise, baka ma-misquote ka. O, di ba? Or sabihin ng mga kalaban mo, o tingnan mo, nagsisinungaling ka, sinabi mo kahapon o kanina lang na gano'n. That's why it has to be made clear. Yun ang another maybe 4th important thing, no? Ang dagdag lang dun sa sinabi ko, is you have to be very clear and precise in your statements. Do not allow any of the media, maybe sometimes, let's face it, sometimes the media would also like some controversy because controversy sells, no? And of course, your opponents or your detractors would jump on the opportunity to take advantage of any ambiguity, di ba? So kailangan you should be very categorical and clear in whatever you say so that you will not be misinterpreted. Hindi ka pwedeng ma-misinterpret or putting words into your mouth. Yun siguro isa pa. Try to be as simple and direct and clear as possible.
I should have gotten lessons from you when spokesperson for the impeachment trial of
Oh, yes.
Chief Justice
Yes,
Corona.
yes.
Yeah, because
Oh, I remember. You did
bakit
well. You did a
parang
good job.
yeah, well,
Yes.
I could have learned and done better if I heard this from the start because that time, fresh from the kakaaral ko pa lang nun sa US and I had just gotten back. And I think, I thought talaga in that during that time when I said yes, that most of my job would be drafting official statements of the defense team. I
Yes.
thought of it from the legal side na this will be a legal battle. So I imagined like really going into the case, working with all the other lawyers in our defense team in terms of preparing for the case, and then just drafting the official statements at ipapadala ko lang by email. Kailangan ko lang i-distribute. So I was really in over my head when it was constantly, like you said, 4:30 a.m. Minsan biglang i-interviewin ka na. And you have to be in a good mood kahit na
Yeah.
puyat ka. Minsan matatapos meetings namin 2 a.m. and then meron kang interview na 5 a.m. Pagka-live pa yan, nandun ka na sa studio ng 4 at you have to be present. And sometimes may questions na you're caught off guard and you're hearing it for the first time na issue pala yun, but then you don't want to look dumb, but you're right, like you can't also make up the answer, so you just all have to say with all honesty na hindi mo rin alam yung sagot or because you really have not been informed of the issue. And then when there was a Typhoon Yolanda, I also was working with Senator Ping Lacson for the rehabilitation.
Yes.
And due to lack of manpower, I was also the one explaining the issues to the public, and I was the head of external affairs, so I was the communications director as well. So another tough job because people were constantly impatient and upset with the pace of the rehabilitation. So lagi ka na lang maharap sa mga tao mainit ang ulo, and like it's difficult, but I would have benefited a lot as well from hearing from you.
Well, now that you mentioned that, then you did a good job in those spokesmanship chores that you did. Maybe sa ating mga tagapakinig, dagdag din dyan, no? Yung unang-una, TV is a very cruel medium. Very cruel. Makikita lahat ng mga yung kilos mo, yung mga reaction mo. So you have to be very careful, di ba? Because pag nagkamali ka sa TV, it really leaves a mark and an impression into your listeners. It gets to your credibility. Kaya you have to be very, 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 what you call this, aware of how TV can be very cruel. Kaya nga, sabi nga ng mga iba, marami mga experts on PR and all that. In the debate between the first televised debate in the United States between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon. Actually, Richard Nixon was very prepared. He's a very smart lawyer, brilliant lawyer, brilliant tactician as well. He's a veteran politician, and he was a relatively new guy, young guy. But Nixon was perspiring. Kennedy looked so cool. He looked so cool. He looked good. He was dressed well, whereas Nixon did not.
Yeah, like, diba?
Yeah.
I mean, genetically.
Yeah, physical.
Charismatic.
Yeah. So malaking bagay. Kaya dami nagsasabi, kung siguro hindi ka nagkaroon ng televised debate, baka hindi manalo si Kennedy. But then again, who knows, no? Some people even venture out to say, if there was TV during the time of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, would the American people have elected a crippled president? Some people are saying that. No, kasi Karen, nowadays, everything is so visual.
Yeah.
Natural lang talaga. Lahat na. With our cell phones pa, with our gadgets, with our iPads, television everywhere, monitors, everything is so visual. So yung visual impact, importante. Kaya yan isang bagay din yun. You must also, at least on TV, be appealing, look good, and related na rin. Huwag kang pikon sa TV. Kasi talaga pag mapikon ka sa TV, talo pikon talaga dyan. Talo pikon.
But you know, when you said TV can be cruel, is it also not that to a certain extent, the Pinoy culture can be cruel? I mean, not in a traditional sense, that we're mean people, but yun yung may mga kakilala ko na napag-usapan na namin yan na by nature, Filipinos or maybe humans in general, no, parang merong very madali mamintas. Kaya tingnan mo yung mga memes ng mga jowa ng Pinoy.
Yeah.
Nakakatawa siya, but you know, usually, di ba, sabi nila, pag ayaw lang nila yung mukha mo, minsan that even affects the message because wala silang pakialam sa sinasabi mo. Basta ayaw nila itsura mo yung dating mo, discounted na lahat. Yung credibility, basta wala na yan.
Kaya the message, sometimes the messenger is more important than the message. Because if the messenger is not acceptable, no matter how good your message was, they will not listen. So that's the sad part. That's the sad reality of where we are now with the type of communication system that we have. No? Very visual nga. Kaya sometimes, maganda naman yung mensahe mo, pero yung credibility na nagsasalita, questionable for whatever reason that might be. More than just appearance, even reputation perhaps, no? Kaya hindi nila pinapakinggan yung maganda sana yung mensahe. Kaya talagang kailangan magtugma, no? In fact, minsan maski na yung message is not exactly a good message, pero yung nagde-deliver ng message magaling, di maniniwala yung tao, di ba? Makikinig kasi he sounds very credible. He sounds very reliable, no? And respectable. So malamang tama yung sinasabi niya. No, yan
malamang yung malamang tama yan. Or,
no.
Sabi siya,
di ba? Di ba? But I'm glad pa na, because I know we're running a bit of time, no? But malapit na tayo mag-ano ng ating programa. But I'm glad you mentioned Senator Ping Lacson also because that you also work for him because I had the opportunity to talk with Senator Lacson in our first presidential forum, which is sponsored by FINEX, the Financial Executive Association of the Philippines, as well as supported by the Management Association, the Makati Business Club, and other organizations. Manila Times is also supporting it, and Signal, TV, and TV5. Maganda na minento mo yan.
Before you talk about, I'm glad you're mentioning this because you should really promote this, Attorney Mike, because people should really be hearing from all the candidates so we can vote wisely and inform decisions. Please continue. So,
ang focus namin dito, Tony Karen, is not so much on the political pa nga because we just want to see, because what is important here really is what is your program as far as the economy is concerned? What is your program to fight this pandemic and to recover economically as we move forward post-pandemic? Ano ba ang programa nyo? Ano ba yung vision? Ano ba yung game plan? Ano ba yung playbook? Ano ba yung programa? Kaya I have to admit, yung interview namin ni Senator Ping Lacson, I was quite impressed because he had a clear program of government. May vision siya, economic vision, ano yung mga gusto niyang gawin at how he intends to achieve it. Kaya I'm sure yung ibang mga kandidato meron din silang mga programa. At I'm sure na talagang ating mga kababayan they're very eager to hear, no? Gusto nilang malaman talaga kung ano ba yung mga gagawin natin tungkol sa problema ng trabaho, tungkol sa problema ng sa health, no? Sa edukasyon, ano to, kagaya ni sinabi mo, hybrid, babalik pa tayo, kailan ba yan? Even when it comes to foreign relations, how to deal with other countries, especially with the issue on the West Philippine Sea, for example, isa sa mga bagay na tinitignan din yan. Yung energy situation natin. Kung may time ka, panoorin mo, Atty. Karen, yung interview, no? Because one of the first questions I asked was essentially, medyo naba-blindsided tayo ng konti dito sa issue regarding the pandemic, because nakafocus tayo lahat doon. Pero ang isang hindi natin napapansin, but it's an incipient matter that must be attended to is energy supply, and the price of energy.
Yep, I agree with you.
Importante ito. Oo, paano tayo gagalaw at labanan ang pandemic na ito kung wala naman tayong energy? We don't have enough power to power our industries, to power our hospitals, to power our telecommunications. Kaya yan ang isang bagay na kailangan gusto natin malaman. Ano ba yung plano nyo? Nangyayari na sa China. The factories in China now are not operating. They're suffering because of energy shortage. It's happening in India. It's happening even in the United States and other parts of South America. For a host of reasons. Maraming rason kaya nangyayari ito. Pero yun nga, tayo, maapektuhan talaga tayo niyan. Pag nag-slow down ang China, apektado tayo. So, are we ready? Isa sa mga tanong na binigay ko nung.
And it's not just the price, Attorney Mike. It's also the type of energy that we're using.
That's true.
Even in China, they had to make a decision not to continue building coal power plants because naging super polluted na yung hangin nila doon. So bad that there were days that you don't even see the sun. Like it looks gloomy. Hindi naman uulan. It's just covered by carbon dioxide, the air. At that really goes into the quality of the health of the people as well. So I'm glad that you brought that up because it is something I want to see with the future president of the Philippines, that they have a clear plan in terms of what to do with energy security. And I think after working with Senator Ping Lacson during that Yolanda rehab, he's someone who's competent and really has a lot of experience from both executive side because he was former chief PNP and also the legislator. So I think I will definitely want to watch that interview and keep hearing from other candidates what they plan to do with not just pandemic, the economy, energy security, super important. In fact, diba, recently, nagkaroon ng issue with Malampaya in terms of their maintenance and they had to use a different source of power. They had to use oil to keep running and tumaas yung rates sa Wesem sa wholesale electricity spot market, which kind of raised the rates for electricity. So tayo sa Pilipinas, we're already like second to Singapore, and I think at some times like also to Japan, but we're one of the highest in Asia for electricity rates. But can you imagine kung mag-brown out pa and everyone's still not fully working on site but work from home at wala kang power? That's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, that is true. Kaya nga kailangan papakinggan natin sila, no? Kaya kasi sabi ko kanina, focus tayo palagi sa pandemic. Pero kailangan malaman din natin, i-remind natin ang ating mga kandidato na ito ay isang issue na talagang kailangan pag-usapan. Kasi sa pananaw ng mga eksperto at sa mga iba pang dalubhasa, it's not really a question of if it will happen. It is just a question of when it will happen. And when it happens, the next question is, are we ready? Yan ang importante. Kasi ayaw na natin bumalik dun sa panahon. Naabutan ko yun eh. Yung talagang long brownouts in the 80s. Diba? In the late 80s. No?
I think so, yeah. Or 90s ba yun? Basta naalala ko, I was in grade school and I would purposely schedule to finish my homework before 5:30. Dilim na. And dati sa naisip ko, hassle magsulat ng homework sa kandila. Not right now. And then eventually, I was so thankful na nagkaroon kami ng generator. That really makes sense. Pero limited pa rin in terms of yung mga appliances and TV na sun. So, never na-imagine lahat tayo electronics, even charging our phone.
Mahirap na. Ganda lang yun kasi may mga candlelit dinners. So, no choice.
No choice.
Baka dumami yung mga babies no? Hindi ko alam. Is there a study that showed that during the height of our the prolonged brownouts, the population increased accordingly.
Oh, very interesting. Hanapin natin yung data for that.
Oh,
So, Atty, I really enjoyed our conversation.
as
Mag-
always.
tayo next Tuesday, but I would really love to hear kailan yung next na interview nyo with a presidential candidate for Phoenix and MAP.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much sa ating mga tagapakinig at sa nanood. Salamat po sa inyong suporta dito sa programa natin. Dito sa Radyo Bandido Kontra Birada. So, marami po salamat at magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat.
Good evening at good night. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno, and we'll see you again next Tuesday. So please continue to watch us and follow us so that lagi ka namin kayo makasama every Tuesday.
Good night. Thanks, Karen.
The views and comments of the hosts and guests are not